It looks like the Illini swagger might just be coming back.
You are Locked On Illini, your daily podcast on the Illinois Fighting Illini. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to this short, abbreviated episode of Locked On Illini. Thank you so much for making us your first listen each and every day. My name is Sunny Verma, your host here. Find me on all your favorite social medias, whether that's X, Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram. Send me a message, say hello. I love continuing to build this community. We're almost 100 strong in the Discord now. A link is in the description, and that's a place where you can talk Illini sports all day, every day. So if you want Illini content, make sure you're subscribed to this channel, and you find me on all your favorite platforms. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. We're roughly 12 hours off from the Illinois 20-point victory over the Iowa Hawkeyes. And man, I'm telling you, because I'm in the heat of the battle, that the tone has changed drastically for a lot of Illini fans. Not all of them. There's always some that are always going to remain skeptical and lean towards the negative side. And, that's just the way their brains are hardwired for whatever reason. So be it. They're entitled to feel however they want to feel. But the majority of Illinois fans, I think, are seeing what I'm seeing. And that's some of the major bracketologists on all the social medias, on their websites, basically saying that last night's victory over Iowa has almost guaranteed, not quite, but almost guaranteed Illinois into the NCAA tournament. And that just got to me thinking last night. This was a discussion I was having with the Discord, and I sent this message as I went to bed. If it wasn't for the COVID year, and if Illinois was to make the NCAA tournament this year, let's just talk as if that's the basis of what I'm about to say. This would be 6 years in a row that Illinois, under Brad Underwood, has made the NCAA tournament. And I know we're a proud program, as we should be. We are one of the more successful programs in the history of college basketball. But, 6 straight NCAA tournaments, that's an accomplishment that only Matt Painter and Tom Izzo can say that they've done. And you're talking about two of the best college basketball coaches in the entire country. And that's why I continue to say that Brad Underwood is one of the best college basketball coaches in the country. He's a basketball coach with clear flaws. I'm not disputing that. I'm acknowledging that. But when it comes to the whole grand scheme of things, I just think he gets it. And, whether he's ever going to get over his inefficiency, I don't know. That's just something we're going to wait and see. But just reflecting, right now, Illinois stands at 18 wins. They're 10-8 in the conference. And this was supposed to be a down year for the Illini. This was a year that after they had gone to the Elite Eight last season, largely on a very, very veteran team, and because they were a veteran team, they had to replace a lot of those roster spots. Not just from those veterans leaving, but also because of coaching staff changes. And with those coaching staff changes came some players deciding to follow their coach to different programs or seek out better NIL opportunities. And so Brad was in charge of essentially replacing 9 guys on this roster, which ultimately ended up being 10 because of the whole Ty Rodgers situation, which the staff honestly was not planning for. And here we are, sitting at 18 wins, 10 wins in the conference. Who knows, with the potential of more, and what seems like another trip to the NCAA tournament. And if that's what the result of a down year for Illinois is going to be, guys, I'm just going to sign up for that every single year. Illinois is a very good basketball program historically, but I do think that a lot of the fan base has expectations and has biases that think Illinois is a better job than it really is within the conference. And that's something I'm going to be talking about in the future. I've already talked to JR and Casual Big Ten, constant guests on the show, where we're going to hammer out a list of best jobs in the Big Ten Conference. And I think you might be surprised where some of us think that Illinois lands on that list. And so the fact that we have Brad, and we're at a point now where we're consistently, a top 3, top 4 team in the Big Ten Conference. Sure, this year we're not. I believe we're something like 7th. But again, this year was supposed to be a down year. And while they were projected to be in 4th in the conference, think about that. It's just 4th. It's not like I don't think I recall anyone saying Illinois was going to win the conference this year. And so in a big time rebuilding year, when there's incredible amount of roster turnover, you had coaching staff turnover, Brad kind of revamped the offense and defense, and right now has us potentially going to another NCAA tournament. And it's reasons like that, which is why, even though I don't mind being vocal about the things I don't like about Coach Underwood, I think in the grand scheme of things, in the overall big picture, he's still the guy I want in charge. Sure, some of his in-game adjustments or lack thereof drive me absolutely crazy, and it does make me question if ultimately Illinois can win a national championship. Right now, I still say yes. I think so. I think if Brad makes the right coaching staff hires around him, and keep in mind, Illinois is going to go pretty aggressive hiring an assistant coach to replace the exit of Anderson from this past offseason. We never filled that spot to fill Tim Anderson. So Illinois is going to have a good amount of money, and that's a job that's going to be coveted. So hopefully you can get one of the best X's and O's assistants in the country to join a staff that has one of the best development guys in the country in Orlando Antigua. Jeff Alexander, one of the best international scouts in the country, along with Orlando Antigua. And I know the public opinion on Tyler Underwood is up and down. I think people make a lot bigger of a deal of Tyler Underwood than the fans do, or than the coaching staff does. The people I talk to within the program do think Tyler Underwood is a future head coach. Is there a little nepotism involved? Maybe. I don't know. But it's not like he's not completely out of his element. And that's coming straight from the sources watching those practices. I'll put it that way. But sitting here at the end of February, it looks like Illinois is going to be able to have another time in March. And, slowly, I'm going to talk about this over the next couple of days. The swagger's coming back on this basketball team. The defense improved greatly against Iowa on Tuesday night. And the story of the season hasn't been written yet. We don't know what's going to happen in the Big Ten tournament or in March once the actual NCAA tournament concludes. And, that's once we have the final results of the season, we can really decide whether this was an A graded season, a B graded season, or even a C graded season. But again, I just want to take a couple minutes today and talk about how, honestly, I feel very lucky. I feel very fortunate for being an Illini fan for as long as I have been. This is as good of a stretch as we've had since I remember. And to keep in mind, again, I was not quite old enough for the Lou Henson days. And, of course, we saw Bill Self, bring in a lot of talent. And that talent eventually led to going to the national championship. And Bruce Weber, I think, was a pretty solid in-game coach, but ultimately the program and the basketball team kind of hit its ceiling and slowly started going downhill from there until we eventually hired Brad. And so Brad's turnaround of this program, inarguably, in my opinion, and I think even his strongest detractors will agree with me when I say that Brad is clearly one of the best program builders in the entire country. And he's gotten to the point where, he's kind of already built a program. Now it's all about getting to the next level. And it's a conversation to be had on whether Brad is the guy to make it to the next level. And while I'll entertain that conversation, and we'll have that conversation each and every week here at Locked On Illini, that doesn't mean that I'm not just going to sit back here every now and then and just be satisfied and glad for where Illinois is, not just in the Big Ten landscape, but in the national landscape. This is a program that is talked about on every single night by your favorite content creators. And why? Because Illinois is relevant. and Illinois hasn't always been relevant. Thank you, Brad. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get on it than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off and want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in on the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Welcome back. I know this is very ironic of me to talk about it in this next segment. Essentially, talking about is the Illini swagger back? When just 3 episodes ago, I talked about whether this Illinois basketball team is broken. But this is, I think, basketball more than any other sport is a game of confidence. It's a game of rhythm. Like there's no pauses. There's just constant flow of movement and momentum. And I think in basketball, because things are happening so quickly, once you have a negative thought in your head, it can linger more than other basketball or more than other sports. And that's why, I had that feeling after that Duke game, but I also am starting to think that maybe things might be starting to turn around after that game against Iowa. And I said this clearly in my preview to that Iowa game. I said that I know things were down, but those of you who watch, my everydayers in particular, can confirm that I said that, hey, sometimes you just need to see the ball go through the hoop. We know the talent is there. Okay. I know the haters will say what talent, but guys, if you're being objectional about it, there's clearly the basketball players on the court are very talented. And in particular, compared to other teams in the Big Ten Conference, I would take Illinois' talent over almost every other team in the conference. It just hasn't gelled, or there's always been an issue here and there for whatever reason. But now with the team being healthy again, I talked about that. Hey, maybe a strong victory against Iowa could turn things around a little bit because you have games up against Michigan and Purdue next week. 2 teams that are not, I get it that they're Big Ten contenders, but they're by no means juggernauts or one of the best teams in the country, even, I would argue. That I don't think Michigan or Purdue are capable of winning a national championship. Let's put it that way. Whoever wins the Big Ten this year, I think, would not have finished in the top 3 or 4 in years previous to this. That kind of gives you an idea of where I see the Big Ten Conference, at least just this specific year. But what I noticed about yesterday, and I think a lot of people are starting to talk about it, is just the swagger of this team kind of returning. It was in the first half, you saw Kasparis really turn around towards the crowd, give a fist pump, and the camera kind of cut away to Brad Underwood, who had a smile on his face, kind of a smirk on his face. And I do think that Brad's kind of been waiting for that moment. Just last week, I've been questioning, with all these new players on this basketball team, who is that leader? Who is that guy? Because last year, I'm telling you, I could have pictured Coleman Hawkins being that guy, screaming into the crowd, getting the crowd energized, getting that crowd pumped up. I don't know who has that sort of personality on this year's basketball team. I saw Kylan Boswell and Tomislav Ivicic in the post-game press conference making jokes, cracking jokes, smiling. Boswell talked about how he practices that play where he threw it behind his back to Tommy, and Tommy joked and followed it up saying, yeah, but usually we miss. Obviously, it went in during the game, but there was a nice little chuckle, eye contact between the two. The guys look like they were having fun. I know opinions are divided on Trey White and his role on this basketball team. I've been very vocal that I think he's a very good college basketball player, and I think that when he plays an important role on this basketball team, the team is just simply better. To me, it looked like Trey was having fun out there. He had a smile on his face. He played pretty well. And so, again, having him as an important cog to this basketball team, well, again, what does it do? It makes the team better, and it gives you another talented player to put out on the basketball court. It's not lost on me that all of this happened against Iowa, and Iowa is just not a very good basketball team. But it doesn't matter. At this point, there's a big portion of the fan base, me included, that was uneasy about going into that Iowa game and knowing that, hey, with Iowa's offense and the way Illinois' defense has been playing recently, there's a chance that the Hawkeyes could squeeze out a victory. And the fact that Illinois, with an adjusted defense, which I will discuss sometime this week, held Iowa to their lowest total this season, in my opinion, that tells me a little about, there's communication between the players and the coaching staff about defense and some of the switches that they can possibly make. Kylan was very vocal about that in the postgame press conference. This team feels comfortable talking to each other. And again, I know it's Iowa, but you're going to need that confidence in order to go into Ann Arbor and to beat Michigan and to beat Purdue, your rival, who you haven't beaten in a while, unfortunately, and I hate saying that, when they come to Champaign. Basketball, more than any other sport, is about the talent on the court, but in my opinion, sometimes it is just chemistry, and sometimes it is confidence. And I would rather take a mid-confident team over a talented team that's in disarray. And that's why I am starting to think that hopefully that Iowa game could be the signal of a turnaround for better fortunes the rest of the year. All right, if you haven't already, again, check out the post-game recap against Iowa. I released that overnight. A lot of positive. We have our sprinkles of the negativity, but that's okay. That's what this Illini fan base is, as rabid as it is, for a reason. They're very passionate. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Let me know what you think. Again, I know some of you are bothered by this. Some of you are going to say I should raise my expectations for what this program are. But trust me, my expectations for this program are absolutely high. But that's what I mean. For me, it's, would I rather be North Carolina right now? North Carolina is fighting for their NCAA tournament lives. And let's be honest, if it wasn't North Carolina, they wouldn't even be mentioned as a possibility to get into the tournament. And Illinois, despite, if you just read into the context of what this season is and all the issues that this team has had to deal with, is right in the thick of things. All you need to do is get to March. At this point, we play for seeding, and then it's all about matchups. Illinois has gone into the tournament as a 1 seed and had an early exit. They've gone into a tournament as a 2 seed and had an early exit. Who knows? Who knows what happens if Illinois enters as an 8 seed or maybe a 7 seed, maybe even a 6 seed if we win the final 3 games. I don't know how that's going to work out, because it doesn't really matter. What is going to matter is the matchups and who Illinois will play in that first game and who Illinois will play in that second game. And that's what I like. I just like the fact that now, on a down year, us Illini fans are talking about who the matchup is still going to be on that first weekend in March, and not for the NIT. We're talking about the big one, the NCAA tournament. And for that, again, I'm just grateful. Let me know your thoughts. Until next time, ILL. Love you guys.